everybody, and welcome back to the Blossom Review. How are you? Today we're talking about TV Asahi's Just a Bit Espers, a Japanese drama that came to a close in December 2025. Just a Bit Espers counts on a script infused with screenwriter Nogi Akiko's usually quirky characters, hypnotic pacing, rhythmical dialogue, and a series of profoundly meaningful themes. But even more subtly than ever before, she gives Just a Bit Espers such an irresistible nuance that before you realize it, has you tangled in its wholesome yet surprisingly elaborate satire. Before we start, just a quick warning, this review is spoiler-free, so if you haven't watched the show yet, don't worry. So, Just a Bit Espers introduces us to Bunta, played by the versatile Oizumi Yo, your everyday salaryman who is now jobless and living in internet cafes around the city. That's when he receives an invitation for a job interview at a large company called Nonamare. His interview against three clearly younger candidates brings to the surface a man who was raised in a generation that believes in sacrificing his own life for the sake of the company. But the very company he committed his life to betrayed him, and as soon as he was fired, his wife divorced him. And now Bunta lives an aimless life, not needed by anyone or anything, hopelessly proclaiming old-fashioned speeches of eternal dedication at the few job interviews he manages to secure. The president of Nonamare, Kizashi, played by an enigmatic Okada Masaki, then gives him a chance. His job? Well, Bunta needs to regularly take an e-capsule, which will make him just a bit Espers. So Espers is a person who possesses paranormal abilities. So with his small paranormal ability, he will be assigned to equally small missions which can change the world somehow. He is then placed in a team of Bit Espers alongside flower-blooming Osuke, played by a flawless Jin Fujioka, animal telepath Hanzo, played by Uno Shohei, and heat manipulator Enjaku, played by Takahata Atsuko. Nonamare also offers him housing, which he is supposed to share with the lovely Shiki, played by the exceptionally charismatic Miyazaki Aoi. For some reason, Shiki believes that Bunta is her husband, and as part of his role, he is supposed to play along. Besides his husband persona, he's only asked not to tell anyone about his powers and not to fall in love with anyone. For a person without a single reason to live, this job seems straightforward enough. And so, Bunta takes us on an eccentric journey as he completes mundane missions that have the power to change destiny. Just a Bit Espers starts as a parody of superhero stories and workplace dramas. Its comical tone is effectively reinforced by a talented cast whose comedy chops are always on point, goofy visual effects that give the story this flamboyant flair, and a sharp script that knows exactly when and how to make fun of the idiosyncrasies that surround us. But there is something about this series that stops us from roaring with laughter. Humor is key and ever-present, but strangely subtle. The narrative counteracts its absurdity and farce with solid, heartwarming character dynamics and profoundly humane, relatable conflicts and emotions. Bit by bit, the universe where Bunta lives gains its own personality, a particular mix of whimsy with its own rules and logic, and familiarity. All sorts of unexpected twists and turns create a sequence of labyrinthine events that throws every single expectation we might have had for this story out of the window. Alongside these characters, we are invited to question our beliefs about what is real, what is true, and who we really are. From a simple satire, Just a Bit Espers slowly blossoms into a complex human drama which explores our sense of belonging, the concept of identity and self-love, and the intrinsic interconnectedness of our actions. At its very core, Just a Bit Espers is a story about love. Non Amare forbids its employees from loving because it knows that love is the only thing that connects us to others, that allows us to create something bigger than ourselves, that defines who we are and what we do. The love we share and foster is our only legacy, because love is the only thing that persists beyond time, memory, and death. Without love, there would be no acceptance, which is what these characters are always unconsciously chasing after. Without love, there would be no togetherness, which is what helps these characters survive the storms this story throws at them. Without love, there would be no grief, which is the emotion that feeds most of the decisions and events in this narrative. As these characters mourn their losses and wrestle with their sorrows and regrets, the only thing they seek is a world in which their loved ones exist, a world in which they can love and be loved in return. Bunta starts the show as a bitter, angry and grumpy man who willingly gives up on love in order to survive. Contrasting with his grumpiness, Osuke, Hanzo and Enjaku are optimistic, friendly individuals who hid their wounds and found comfort in their common goal: to help the kind Shiki live a good life. In all her gentleness and warmth, Shiki represents the love they have always yearned for but lost throughout their lives. It is thanks to Shiki that our 4 Espers can push the pains and traumas that haunt them aside, because it is she who gives them meaning and purpose. She is the one who reminds them that everyone matters. Our Esper's protagonists, Shiki and the mysterious, morally grey President Kizashi, have to learn how to give and receive love. They learn how to mold this feeling into kindness, understanding, and strength. As their journey makes them question the worth of a life and what defines our importance, these characters come to realize that love isn't just something that you offer others. It is also something that you have to give yourself as well. It is this self-love that reminds them that they are free to make their own choices and gives them hope that the steps they take will shape their future into the one they long for. And that's the series' final reminder: we are all connected. Every choice we make, no matter how small or seemingly unimportant, can make a world of difference. And it's only by living on that we can change our destinies and consequently affect the destinies of the ones we care about as well. The narrative combines the complex bonds these characters create, their own sense of self, and the agency they are given to establish a sequence of events that unravels naturally. Every action has a consequence, and as those dots connect, they lead to an inevitable finale. That's not to say that everything is perfectly explained by the end of Just a Bit Espers, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. There is something uncanny about this story, an element of the unknown that always seems to be beyond our grasp. But for a script that is based on the idea that the future is something beyond our control, which is why we have to keep on living and devising our fate day by day, that feels oddly fitting. Beyond a well-written script, Just a Bit Espers is an all-around well-crafted series. A clever visual identity supported by dynamic editing and a marvelous score brings this quirky premise to life. Add to that an extraordinary cast who can juggle comedy and drama with mastery and inhabit their characters with nuance and spontaneity, and you have a series that invites you back to its universe time and time again. Because every time you come back, there seems to be another question, another discussion, or another layer that you hadn't noticed before. So the final question is, should you watch Just a Bit Espers? I think there is a lot more to Just a Bit Espers than meets the eye. With a charming found family at its heart, a humane theme, and an entertaining blend of sci-fi, satire, and romance, Just a Bit Esper subverts expectations to deliver an optimistic tale of free will, resilience, and self-love. We can only hope and keep on living to see Nogi Akiko bring to life more unique and heartwarming stories such as this one, regardless of the timeline we find ourselves in. Just a Bit Espers is available on Netflix. Quick reminder that you can also find this review on the Blossom Review, and over on Substack this week we reviewed Netflix's This Is I. So I'll leave all the links in the description if you guys would like to give them a read. Guys, thank you so very much for being here. I really hope that you like this video and you subscribe so I can see you here every week for a new review. Thank you so very much. Have a lovely day today, and I'll see you very, very soon. Big kiss.